Well, ladies and gentlemen, look who we have here. Díana, it is a pleasure and honor to have you on the show. How are you today?
I'm really well, thank you. Bit cold, it's snowing outside, but I can't complain. It's a good
Now,
day.
one thing I've noticed with you is you wear the best earrings I've ever seen. Where are you getting them? How many do you have? Because each one
Uh,
is
I
spectacular.
I think my collection definitely spans to like around 50 pairs, although I wear the same like 10 because they're my favorite. And most of them I always try and buy from small independent companies. I also am very big on buying from indigenous communities. So a lot of my earrings are from different indigenous communities across the Americas.
That's amazing. Do you have a favorite pair? Where do these ones rank?
These were my favorite pair for a long time. They rank a bit lower
Oh
at the moment
no.
because I went to Colombia early Christmas last year, and obviously when I was out there, I was just like buying so many new trinkets, and there's just so many handmade small little places or just women like indigenous communities who just make them on the street, and I was just buying everything I could. So then this year I've been wearing more those kind of earrings, but I still love these. I'm glad you noticed.
They're awesome. I think you're ranking number one on this show for earrings at the moment. Okay. Um, so you were born in Colombia, right? How often do you get
I
to go down there, get back there?
I haven't been, I mean, I hadn't been for a long time. And then I went back last year, and it was just magical. I went for 3 weeks. My plan is to go again a couple times this year to really kind of connect back with the indigenous communities of my country. This is something that's really important to me. And if you follow me on socials, it's something that I'm very proud of my indigenous ancestry, of highlighting our indigenous communities. So it's something I'm really passionate about. And now I finished filming on the project I'm currently on in a few weeks, and I'm hoping to just book that flight. It's really hard to navigate schedules because you never know
Oh,
what job is going to come next. So I'm like, I want a 2 week window, and I'm just going to head back out there.
well, you took your mum out to a solo girls trip. What was it last year? When was it?
You did your research. You really did your research. I did. I took my mom to Athens.
Athens. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. I wanted to treat her. And it was over Mother's Day.
Why
It was
Athens?
weekend because my mum's also quite like she has traveled quite a bit, but she'd never been to Athens, and I'd never been to Athens. So I wanted it to be something new for the both of us. And we hadn't done that since I was a teenager. Obviously you hit your teenagers and you're like, oh, I don't want to go on holiday with my parents. And then obviously now I'm an adult, and like I wanted to give something back to my mum. So yeah, so I took her on a little trip to Athens.
What's on the hit list next?
So I literally yesterday booked my first Eurostar trip to Paris. I've been to Paris before, but never on the Eurostar. So that's really exciting. So I'm going at the end of February, just for a couple of days. And then I really want to do Mexico this year. But
Mm.
I also have a friend who's filming out in Thailand, and I'm like, I'm coming to visit you because why not? I mean, I've been to Thailand before, but it's like I've never been to where she's filming. So I'm like, yes, I'm gonna go and crash.
So you've always been a nomad?
I think like I started off quite nomadic, and then in my mid 20s, I kind of settled in London. And when you're doing this career as an actor, I think when you're first trying to establish yourself, there's this fear of booking a holiday because if you book something else,
Mm.
you're not available, right? Or you'd have to cancel the holiday, so there's like, oh no, or what if I don't book any work next month? Then I won't be able to afford a holiday. How can I and so the first few years of my acting career was very much like, no, 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 I can't. And any holiday I'd take would be to visit my parents live in Spain. So I'd go to Spain to visit them. So 10 years was like very much settled life in London. But luckily the last few years have been thankfully going really well. And so now I'm like, okay, this year is the year of just, I want to put my stuff in storage and just go to wherever the world takes me.
How did you go over the pandemic? You struggled a little bit, yeah? Like a lot of us
Yeah,
did.
I think, it's interesting because I think I really struggled, but I'm so thankful for that break in time, because if the world hadn't like stopped, I wouldn't have realized I was in the middle of like quite severe mental health issues, basically. And because I couldn't just ignore what was going on inside with work, I had to really face these demons and seek help and have therapy and go into into recovery. So I'm actually very thankful for that time that the pandemic gave me, because even though it was a really tough time, but if it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be where I am today, I don't think, because I think I had to do a lot of soul searching and to find like my inner happiness. That sounds very,
No,
but
no, no.
it's true though. I realized that I wasn't enjoying acting anymore, because I was just like in the hustle culture, and I was just so focused on the business element that I'd lost my passion for it. And once I kind of started going on the journey of healing myself, I fell back in love with acting. And actually since then, it's just been progressively, everything's better, but I'm also in such a better state of mind so that I can actually enjoy everything that's coming my way. So yes, that's a long answer to the
We love long answers. Don't worry. What was that journey like for you, if you don't mind sharing?
I think realizing I had a problem was the first thing that I had to confront, which I think is really hard. I think a lot of us don't realize, whether that's whichever mental health issue you have. A lot of people don't realize we live in a society where it's just like go 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 go. So first of all, it's kind of acknowledging, accepting it, and then seeking help. I meditation was key in
Yeah.
my journey, because it was just like taking a breath and listening to what was going on inside of my head, basically. Having a support group of people who were going through the same thing, that was a really big factor into kind of knowing I wasn't alone, especially at a time during the pandemic when loneliness was at an all-time high, because obviously we couldn't see other people, see our family, our friends, but having this network, this online network of people who were all going through what I was going through, that was really amazing to have. And so yeah, it was very gradual. The recovery was not linear. I had like panic attacks like often throughout, like when I thought I was better, and then suddenly I'd be overwhelmed, and slowly it just got better. I don't know, like just progressively doing the steps that I was given to come back to myself, journaling, all of these kind of things.
Was this in when you were in Sweden, before or after? Because I know you shot
This before.
before. Okay.
So I was never familiar with the concept of, I mean, it's such a simple concept, being present. Like I was never here being present, like
Me
I'm
too.
talking to you,
Yeah.
right? But for a long time I was physically in a space, but my head was in the past, in the future. What if? How comes I didn't? Oh, And so during my recovery, it was just learning how to be present and like, oh, I'm here. And when I filmed this project, the Sweden project was the first thing I filmed post-pandemic. Actually, it was still during the pandemic because actually
But they don't
Sweden
have
didn't.
it, do they? They didn't have
No,
lockdown.
they didn't have
That
it.
must
So
have
I
been weird.
definitely,
Yeah.
it was so bizarre.
Bizarre.
I
Yeah.
got there and there was like, I had my mask on and they were like, no, you don't need a mask. And I was like, what? And like the hotel that I stayed in was a spa hotel where, so it was like they had, it was like it was next to a, not a lake. They
What, like
had,
a
oh God,
retreat?
it was like
Rainforest.
a retreat. Yeah, yeah, because we
Wow.
were filming in the middle of the forest, right? So it was
Ah.
a
So the whole
retreat.
crew were there.
Yeah, like yeah, everyone was there, and it had all these different saunas with plunge pools, and like it was just, I was like, I've just come from not seeing anyone to then suddenly there is, I'm in a sauna with other people. I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know quite how to, but they all seemed fine with it, and I was like, okay, sure, okay. But it was a beautiful project because this was called, the project was called The Emigrants, and the director was incredible because when we were in the forest, he was like, the direction was, Díana, I don't want you to do anything. I just want you to just be present, breathe, and just look at her. And after like a year of doing this learning of being present, it was the most beautiful gift to have that reminded, like that reminder from this really amazing director, Eric Pop, who just told me to be present whilst we were filming, and that was all he wanted of me. Amazing.
I loved your little series that you did on your heritage. What made you do that on your Instagram?
Yes. So I did a 4-part mini series for Latin American Heritage Month, looking into our Indigenous ancestors. And I really wanted to highlight this because often I don't think as Latin Americans, we even acknowledge our Indigenous ancestry and what part that plays in us being Latin Americans. Like we're just like, oh yes, I'm Latino. Like, and it's like this cool thing, this cultural identity that a lot of us kind of really hold on to, but what does that really mean? And within my own country and in Latin America as a whole, to be Indigenous is something that's looked down upon. So I wanted to do a mini series which really highlighted how incredible our ancestors were. And that felt important to do it during Latin American Heritage Month because I wanted to link the fact that we come from this culture of incredible Indigenous communities who've achieved these just amazing things, like really sophisticated technology that they had, which a lot of us don't even know about. Many of my peers just don't really have any knowledge of our history of colonization and just have these ingrained beliefs to look down upon Indigenous communities because that's what we're taught. It's just within the culture subtly, you know. Like one of the things that I grew up with hearing was like, oh, don't be so Indian, like as in referring to Indigenous people, like don't be so Indian, because that was seen as, oh, you're dumb and you're stupid and you're less than. So these little things are very much a part of our culture. And I wanted to just remind people, actually, no, that's not the reality because our true history has been whitewashed and by a large part erased. And it was so hard to find all the facts and stuff because it's not in the mainstream. So it was important for me to do this mini series, and I think a lot of people found it valuable. But I just wanted to share that pride.
Is there any other projects you've been a part of or that you know of that showcase it effortlessly, that showcase it if people want to learn more or that you think they did a great job?
Oh gosh, off the top of my head, there are, but I think most of them are in the making. I say that because I'm a part of some documentaries or some projects that we are like, we want to do it from, I guess, the ground up, as opposed to a lot of documentaries like look in like voyeuristically.
Yes. Yes.
And a lot of it's for the Western world, and I think a lot of the teaching has to be for our own community so that we can start growing. I can't recommend any off the top of my
That's
head.
all right. No, that's all right.
But they're out there, and most of them are actually done by NGOs, for example, who are actually working with the communities in Latin America.
What's that call like when they say you're going to be in a major Disney IP, Moon Knight, you're in? What's that feeling like?
It's like, what?
Does it feel real?
No, I was just like, I think I
Yeah.
probably made a really squeaky like noise. Like that's how I react. And that's normally whenever I book a job, that's the noise I make. Any job, but especially like a job I really want. And with that one, do you know what was insane was that I submitted the audition, I think it was on Tuesday at midday. And by Thursday, I'd booked it.
What? That's unheard of. That's absolutely crazy.
I was like, is this real? And the other hilarious thing, it's for the Moon Knight audition. Obviously, it was like untitled secret Marvel.
Yeah.
And the sides I got were not the real sides. But when I got the audition breakdown, it said 60-year-old Egyptian music teacher. And I just thought, well,
what do you do with that?
I know, I was like, I can play a little bit older, but I don't think I can pass for a 60-year-old. And obviously, like, I knew the casting director knew me. I'd been cast in a film beforehand by them. So I was like, they know who I am. So I just did it. I was like, well, they know what they're looking for.
What did you do in the audition? Can I ask? Did you feel like it was a good audition?
Yeah. I really liked it. But in a way, I was like, I don't think I'm going to get this. They're looking for a 60-year-old music teacher. What? I can't even play any instruments. I just found it really odd. So I was in the audition, I had to like strum a guitar and like hum to some music. And then there was a scene, and I kind of had to be like nice because I was like a teacher, and I was kind of like talking about this young child who was a singer, like nothing to do with Moon Knight. If you've seen Moon Knight, it's like.
So why did they do that? Did you ever find out what the process is there?
Well, yeah, obviously they wanted to get a sense of the energy I had because.
Yeah, right.
The script is so tightly guarded. I didn't actually know what I was like the scene until I was in my hotel room in Budapest, and I finally got this private link that led me to another app that made me download to then. And even then, I only saw the scenes. So I couldn't make sense. I was like,
yeah.
This? Like, I don't even know how, where, what. It was so confusing. But obviously in the audition, the whole sense was that I was this strong but loving person, that I really cared for, this young girl I was talking about. I really cared for her. And essentially that energy was exactly what I ended up using for Yatsil, who I play in Moon Knight, because she's the human avatar of the goddess of love. So, and it's the goddess of love and music and motherhood and all of this. And so it was basically, they were just looking for that energy. And
that's flattering that you were cast for that, don't you think?
Yes, I loved it. I was like, oh, that's amazing. And in all honesty, it was so easy to kind of play once I was there in the space, because wow, what a set. Like
spectacular. Yeah.
My jaw dropped, especially because when I was reading the scenes, it said like a cave chamber inside the pyramid. I imagined like some rocks in Like literally, I was like, oh, we're just gonna be in a sandy room with rocks.
Yeah.
Like that's how I pictured it. And then when they took us to set, when we had a meeting with the director who explained what was happening because we needed some context, and we got shown. This is when I say we, I'm saying the group of avatars.
Yeah.
We got shown into the chamber of gods, and I think all of us just went like, because it was
Yeah.
so enormous and so beautifully like done, and the fires, and oh my gosh, it was just spectacular. It was enormous as well. I
Are
was
you
just like,
where are you shooting that, in a soundstage or what is it?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Wow.
Yes, it was inside a soundstage. I thought it was going to be predominantly green screen, but I was really pleasantly surprised that a large part of it was mainly just the top half that was
Yeah.
green screen, but everything else was there. So yeah,
How do you not
it
let
was.
that intimidate you? Or do you use that as fuel to the fire?
Yeah, well, that's it, because I think the more you have available to you, the less you really have to do because you're not
Mm.
imagining it. So, when I'm stepping out and I'm in this amazing dress, like, and which like flows behind me, and I'm stepping on sand and I can hear the sand, and I look and it's like I
Yeah.
see the fires and like all the other avatars and their gods, like the statues of their god. I don't have to do any extra work at all, and and then obviously Oscar Isaac, who's just phenomenal, like it was just easy. It was literally like, just be.
What surprised you about working with him?
Oh, how charismatic he is.
Yeah.
Because I always thought he was an incredible actor. I'd followed his career, especially with him being from Guatemala and being a fellow Latin American. I was always really impressed with his body of work. Like I feel like when you meet a certain caliber of actor and just their experience and their confidence in their craft, it just like oozes, the energy oozes off them. And I just remember thinking, wow, like I was so mesmerized by his performance. I didn't have to act. I just watched. I guess that wasn't surprising, but it was so impactful. And how much I was able to learn off of that experience of watching someone who was just so good at what they do.
Is there one thing you'll take away from that experience that you'll use for the rest of your career, you think?
Um, I take away something from every project I work on. I don't think that as actors we ever stop learning. This is my belief. Like I'm forever evolving as a human, which means I'm forever evolving as an actor because my perception of the world shifts and changes. I mean, gosh, I don't remember what I learned, but it's infused into me.
Yeah, it's all right.
I think just the presence and the eye contact for that kind of like, it was so invaluable to
The eye
have someone.
contact.
Yeah, like as in how important it is. I don't know. For my that character, sorry, that character, she was just so like an open book and inquisitive and performing opposite someone who was guarded. And I think it was just like I just remember at the time I was just constantly trying to follow his eyes. And when I saw my performance back, I was like, oh, you can see like there's like that kind of there was just something in that interaction, and I think it worked. So for me, that was big, like, oh yes, I like that.
What did you think watching it for the first time?
I think the first time I watched it, I kind of didn't see because I was like, oh my God, I'm in a Marvel show. But I was really happy.
Oh, you should be.
I was just really happy.
No, it's a really good show. It's very well. Everyone seems to really like it, from what I've heard. My friends and critics. It seems to be pretty well-rounded show.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of Marvel's most like Emmy nominated shows. It was, and the performances generally from the lead cast were awesome. So, and it was also a bit bonkers. I mean, it was very
It was out there, yeah.
it was very out there.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea because I only knew what I knew from my bits. And when I went to the premiere and I saw the first 2 episodes, I was like, what?
What's a Marvel
What?
premiere like, by the way?
Oh, amazing.
Full on?
It's
Nerve-wracking?
full on. I was really, yes, I was really nervous, but it was like I had a chaperone who like took me to all the like spots, the paparazzi spots and photography and stuff, and like so I was looked after. So then that was really lovely. But it was cool. We had like the candy stand and everything, and I was like, ooh, like it's so funny because you're all there dressed in like incredible dresses. Everyone looks phenomenal, but really it's you're going to the cinema.
Yeah.
So then I'm there in this beautiful dress and I'm like,
You don't think about that. I don't think about yeah. You're so right.
yeah, like when I go to the I'll go to the cinema in my area and I literally just put my trackies like with my hoodie and I'm just like, yep. And I just plonk myself there. But it's the same thing, just in a very fancy dress and high heels.
So what's that like doing that versus a game like Baldur's Gate 3 where you go from the living and breathing world around you to make it up in your head, basically?
Yeah.
What's that like?
And it's really make it up in your head.
Yeah. I mean, you get direction from the directors and everything, but you're imagining it in your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, there is literally nothing there other than the lines on the screen and you're in a room. Well, I will say I'm thankful because I've done quite a bit of mocap in the last couple of years. So it wasn't, I actually had come off another big stint of 6 months of doing mocap at Centroid, which is like the big mocap studios, and it's like a massive studio. So like I was fresh off of like using my imagination to just put everything, like create this world around me. And so then I come into Baldur's Gate and it was just hilarious because I didn't know what I'd been cast in. I had no idea. Like, and this is the thing, when you're just working constantly, you just rock up and you're like, cool, I'm in this project and I don't know what I've been booked for. And on top of that, most of the time with video games, everything's got a project name, obviously, like a code name. Like there's been projects that I've been recording for like 4 months and I still don't know what I'm recording on. Like they keep things like really secretive. It's like a Marvel project. So I and obviously like I mean the world of Baldur's Gate is huge. So these directors are working with so many actors and they don't know if like how much I know or how much I remember. I'm also recording about like 4 projects at the same time. So it is a lot of imagination and like the directors are really good at putting you in the moment again and reminding you where you are. But the key thing with this Dream Visitor Guardian character for Baldur's Gate, it was just like coming back to the voice and like where her energy lay. And obviously I was aware that they could only see me in a dream world. So I don't like, I wasn't ever like in these, like I didn't have to concern myself too much with the surroundings because in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's a dream world. So I created like a bubble that we were in. But yes, it does take a lot of imagination.
Did they tell you that the player is going to be able to create the look of your character and everyone's going to have basically a different look? Did they tell you that from the start?
Yes, so I don't think I knew that from the very start, because I was like, can I see what, like, so I can kind of help create her voice. And they were like, oh, well, this is kind of like the base, but they could literally make her into anything, and including a him, right? Or they, they like whatever they want. So that was interesting. But what was the most interesting part? I don't know if you've interviewed Ethan Reed, who plays
I
the.
am this week. Yeah.
Oh, well, then he can tell you this, but because he was recording the male voices lines to begin with, and the way that we had to do it was that I had to match. So I'd listen to his
Oh,
performance, and I
okay.
had to match
The
the same
timing.
time.
Yeah, that's tough.
And listen, that is
That's a skill.
really tough.
Mm.
That is really tough, especially because I wanted to perform her differently. And what's even tougher is that Ethan, I've never met him, but I've heard because they all said he's like 6'4" or something. He's enormous. So sometimes he'd say things, and I was like, how can I physically say that in one breath? How has he done that? Like, because obviously his lungs are probably enormous compared to mine. I'm only 5'6", and I was just like, I mean, he's nearly a whole foot taller than me. His lung capacity is so much more than mine. And some things I literally had to say them so fast. And I was like, oh my God. But in his voice, it sounded like he was just talking really slowly. But
Yeah.
I was saying them so fast to be able to fit them in the same time and with the same breath. Like I had to take a huge breath and try not to run out of air,
Wow.
and perform at the same time.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
So it was quite, and I was the only character that they had to do that with. So I remember like at the beginning, it would take me ages just to do 10 lines. But then Tatsu, who's one of the sound engineers, he came up with a system and he was like, right, I'm ready. I've programmed everything for you. So you just go in, like, because it was a really long process, and it was such a specific process. But thankfully, only we swapped halfway through, because they were like, we're going to give Díana a chance to like do her own performance.
Oh, so you
And so then
did. Awesome. I was gonna say.
so like
Yeah.
about halfway through, yeah, around halfway through, they let us swap. And so then Ethan had to then try and fit his stuff into mine, which I'm intrigued to see how he found
I'll
it.
ask
I
him.
mean,
Yeah.
we made it work. But and it was fun. It was a different kind of challenge, you know. How do you perform this character, like how I've created her, but within like this time limit, or sometimes it would be like, wow, he took a really long breath there. How do I how do I make that work for me? And yeah, it
So
was fun though.
did you find yourself changing it up when you got that bit more freedom, or were you still, you know?
Well, by that point, you know, I'd been recording for like a few months on and off, and like I felt like the character was there. So it was just easier. It just gave me a bit more freedom to not have to, you know, hit a certain time.
Yeah.
But she was there by that point.
So do they give you direction on where the story's going and what the reveal? Because I love that reveal scene. I don't know if
Of
you remember recording that.
of what? As in when the Guardian becomes is revealed that is
Yes.
actually the band player.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I only learned that like
After the game came out, don't say that.
no, 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 no. I learned that like in month like 2 or 3 or something. Like, and I remember going, oh, but it didn't really like I knew that they were a mind flayer, but also for someone who's not a gamer, this world is it's just so big and so everywhere. So every time I'd have a director try and explain where we were, I was like, what on earth is happening here? And I didn't know what that like. I didn't really know where my character was going, other than I
Wow.
knew I had to play her sincerely. And the main thing was like I had this, I was doing everything for the greater good. So yes,
So on
sometimes
it
I
was
had,
grounded in honesty, is what you're saying.
yes, it was grounded in honesty. And it was like there was this, again, maternal energy was the kind of core foundation of my version of the Guardian, because I think there was a version where she was more sexual and more romantic and like a bit sexy, but they were like, no, we don't want that. We want her to be coming from this place of like, I genuinely want to look after this person and guide them. And like, so yes, it was like this sincerity to the character. And that was the main thing. So yes, there was the reveal, but they didn't ever want any notion of that during.
Yeah.
Because obviously then that would allude, you know, if it alluded to like, oh, maybe I'm being manipulated, then it wouldn't have been such a good reveal.
But it's funny you say that because I was torn playing through whether I trusted you or not. So I guess you did your job.
Yes, torn is a good thing.
Yeah. Did you? There was a romance scene, right? There is one romance scene.
I think that there is a possible romance. Like I think with Baldur's Gate, right? You can go in any direction. Right? There's so many. I remember kind of, wait, which version and which path are we doing this time? Because there was just so many different paths you could go down. So there was a romance, but I don't think it was like as like romantic as like some of the other potential romances in the game, right?
Wasn't as full on, no. I don't think.
Yeah, it wasn't as full on.
So how many mocap have you done? You've done Horizon. Was Atomic Heart mocap?
No, that was just what.
Okay. That was just voice.
No, that was voice. Yeah, that was voice. I think I've done 3 full body mocaps, but I've done a lot of performance capture. So like where they put like on your face and the camera. So I've done quite a lot of that. The other mocap one is still top secret and I can't talk about it.
We'll have you back if you're free. If you're free, come back, please. So your first game was Total Warhammer?
Yeah.
Wow. Not a bad way to kick it off.
No, I lost my voice for a day after that one.
Did you? A lot of efforts?
The game. Yeah, I played like a death hag. And I just remember Death Hag. That is like a brilliant first role in a video.
What's that voice? Is there a different voice for that?
I think she was, I mean, this was a while ago, but I remember her being down here and everything was like this. It was kind of,
yeah.
You know, and she was in battle mode like half the time. You can't do this. No, like everything was like that. Yes.
Did you go into their head office for that or not?
Yeah. I went all the way to out of London.
They're in the middle of nowhere. Don't they have all this like statues and stuff? It's like a massive base of operations.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it was such a while ago, but I just remember it was a whole train out of London and a walk, and there was like a river or like a stream, and I had to cross a bridge, and I was like, wow.
You had to take a boat in.
Basically.
Shit. That's fantastic. So have you got the bug for the gaming world? You want to do more?
Oh yeah, I absolutely love voicing games. I think it's one of my favorite things. Even like, it's so weird because I'm filming on a project right now and I've been filming for the last few months, and I was talking to one of my friends and I was like, I really miss video games. I really want to do another one because there is so much freedom, I think. So in the film and TV world, obviously you get cast for like what you fit and what you're right for, and you know, I fit into like a very specific frame, or you know, what they will cast me in. But in the video game world, I mean, just this character, like, as you know, I've seen some people like had my character with the horns and all of this, and like, I mean, that
was probably me. In my first playthrough, you were an orc.
Oh, well, there you go. Exactly. I mean, I've played just random, like half human, half robot. I've done like stuff where like I play half raven bird thing, like, or a robot thing that transforms into a bird. Like, I just can play anything. And I can play different ages and different things, and it's just so much fun. I genuinely love it. And the worlds are so just out there sometimes, which is always so fascinating when I first start working on a game and I start learning about the world, and I'm just like, okay, whoa, oh, wow. Like, this is just anything is possible in a video game. And I think that's what's so cool, and why I enjoy voicing them so much.
Besides what you just said, then, is there anything else that film and TV doesn't have that games do?
I think that maybe like,
Is there less egos?
oh, in terms of that, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, there's definitely less egos, and you're by yourself a lot. I mean, that's the only kind of
Yes,
pro
yes, yes, yes.
and yet con, like, because you're often just performing with a screen or a voice, which obviously in film the beauty is that you have someone there. Like what I was saying about the eye contact is like, I think what's going back to that, I think because I did during the pandemic was when I really started like working nonstop in video games, and not having someone there, and then suddenly I'm on Moon Knight where I'm just like there, and it was like the eye contact was like, oh yes, remember this, because that's what it is about being present and in the space with someone and looking at someone in the eye, versus when you're in a booth, you're having to imagine that. And how do you connect with someone just with your voice, versus like I can connect with you with my eyes like on screen, but I have to find different ways of connecting, just using my voice. I think video game world makes your imagination just grow so much more. I am really thankful for that, because it's helped me massively when I have to do any kind of green screen. I'm able to just imagine straight away, because I'm used to that world now that I've been working in video games for some time now.
So, any of the
Yeah.
video games you worked on, you had a partner, or they've all been by yourself?
There is one coming up
So
where
that's the
we've
only
gone.
one, really. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've never been in the booth with someone else recording a video game. And I've never done like, other than this other project. Even like, yeah, it's always you're by yourself.
So, how
Mm.
many gaming projects do you need under your belt before you give it a crack and play one of them?
Ah!
Do we
Oh
have to get
gosh,
you to 50 rolls before you get...
you know what? It's not even. I know that if I got into games, you just lose me, like, to the world. Because when I was younger, I would like, I think one of my ex-boyfriends had like an Xbox, and I remember I wasn't interested in playing, and then I got in. I was 19. One day I was just like, oh, I would like to do this racing game. And I woke up at like 7 in the morning, and he got back at around 8. And I was like, oh, I'm ready to play against you now. And I'd spent the whole day trying to like get good at this racing game, so that when he came, I finally beat him. And I was like, there you go. Okay, my work here is done. And I feel like, oh, and it was the same with The Sims. I would stay up until like 4, 5 in the morning, where I'd have to like
The
be up
Sims was
to look.
pretty addicting. I mean,
That
building...
was
Yeah.
so, yeah. So if I was able, and this was in my teenage, like late teens, early 20s, like I would be so hooked on these games where I'd have to be up at 7 to go to like college or something, or university. And I'd still be up at 4 playing Sims. So I know that if I got into the whole bit, like, I think it's safer for me if I just stick. Otherwise, I won't get any work done. And I have a lot of work to do.
I know you love dancing, right? Salsa. Is that
Yeah.
something you do outside of work, or is it just kind of like whenever it calls for it?
Well, the thing is, as a Colombian, you grow up with salsa like
Yeah.
in your blood. So it's like, some mornings I just have salsa on as I'm cooking breakfast and I'm dancing. Like it's in me. It's like if there's an
That's
event, if there's a
fantastic.
party, then I go and I dance. But like, yeah, me and my friends, we go out salsa dancing like every so often. Like it's just like it's a thing we
Yeah.
have to do. You hear the music and you're just like, oh yeah, I really want to dance. Um,
So what else are you doing when you're not at work? I know you're a foodie.
yeah,
What?
I cook a lot.
Oh, you cook a lot. Yeah. What are we cooking?
Well, at the moment, um I like to use the oven a lot. Uh, so I'm currently living in Serbia and
You're living in Serbia.
yeah, oh yeah, because this is where I'm filming at the moment on this project that I'm filming on.
Wow.
Yes, so I've been out here for a few months now, and I opted not to stay in the hotel because I was like, I can't do hotel food for 4.5 months, no way. Even though some of the actors prefer that because obviously, everything's taken care of, but no, and that is not me. So like, I like to do something like a roast chicken, a roast salmon, and then I just do all these different vegetables in different ways, and like I do different sauces and
Oh, I
yeah,
love salmon. Oh,
yeah, no,
any
that's
fish.
that's me.
Yeah. Well, you
And
got
pizza.
oh, pizza.
Sorry, a disclaimer: I must eat pizza once a week.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Not anymore. I lived in Italy. I
Oh,
lived in Italy for a year and a half,
I agree. By
and
the way, I agree.
I
Yeah, I hate it.
used to like it. I used to like it. But once you live in Italy, and the way that they kind of go, "Ugh," when you
Do
say
they?
pineapple, oh my gosh, it's like the disdain for it.
Oh,
It's
wow. I
like,
didn't know that.
that's not real pizza. So then, and to be fair, like now I appreciate like a good like melanzane on a like aubergine on a pizza, like an aubergine pizza. Like I like that kind of thing. Like yeah, those kind of things. Yeah, I'll
We're
go
probably
for
going to
that.
get roasted in the comments for this. Guys, please.
Why?
Because I know everyone's going to say pineapple on pizza is great. My girlfriend loves it.
I listen,
They're
I
crazy.
agree. I agree, but not anymore. Not if you want to have a true, authentic pizza.
Are you homesick, by the way? Yeah, yeah, I would be so homesick after 4 months. I don't know how long you've been there at the moment, but
Well, it's been on and off for 4.5 months will be total. But like, I was just home like a week and a half ago, like over the Christmas period.
that's good.
I've got another few weeks and then I'm back home. We had a break. I was home for another month between.
Oh,
So,
yeah, yeah. It's
it's
not too
not
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I was ready like for this nomadic lifestyle. So and I have my own lovely apartment. Like they put me up in such a nice apartment. So I'm like, how can I be sad here? Like, I do miss home, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's nature of the beast.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for giving up some time today. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for listening. I can talk anyone's ear off.
Is there anything you want to say to the fans of Baldur's Gate 3 or of Moon Knight or any other projects that you've been a part of?
Oh no, I'm glad everyone's enjoyed them because I think that's why we do our work. We want the audience to enjoy the product and enjoy our work. So thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. Keep enjoying all the good work to come.
Awesome. And before I let you go, can the Dream Visitor say something to Dan?
Oh God. You're putting me under pressure
No,
here.
anything you want.
Wait,
Anything you
wait.
want.
Well, she speaks down here. I have to find her voice. She's like here. So thank you, Dan, for listening to me today and for having this conversation.
Man, I just tripped out. That is so weird. After hearing that voice for so long, and then, man, that was weird. Thank you for that.
She's in there somewhere, but as you can tell, my normal voice is way more excitable and like,
Oh, you're right. It's such a reassuring kind of calm tone that you bring to that. Yeah.
Motherly, grounded. I mean,
Yeah.
she's down here somewhere. I'm saying down here. My diaphragm.
And
Right.
we can follow you on Insta
Díana,
and Twitter.
yes. I mean, I don't use Twitter, but
That's all
I'm
right.
on Instagram
Yeah.
at Díana Bermudez.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.